Today's disruptive interview is with a good friend of mine, KATRINA Hobbs. Disruptive City Women is the name of the new book that I've authored and that has been published through Movement Day Global. It features stories of women all over the world who are disrupting darkness in their city. And so it's great today to be joined by KATRINA Hobbs, who is just actually down the road from me. Hello, KATRINA.
Hi, Tish. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. I just want to read a bit of your bio, just so people understand a little bit more about you, because you're a business owner of a very large agricultural business across our state that also funds a lot of kingdom work in our city and across the globe. You're a mother of 5, and then you're the chairperson of an organisation called Emily's Voice, which is a non-for-profit that is seeking to humanise the unborn. And the reason why you feature in the Disruptive City Women book is because you want to disrupt the lies around abortion. So we want to have a bit of a chat about that today. But first of all, we're hoping that people will buy the book and read it and hear more of the story. So we want to ask a bit more about you, because you've actually grown up as a farmer's daughter. What was that like for you?
Oh, it's the best life, a life of freedom, a life where I was in the outdoors, and I don't really remember too much conflict in my life, really. I had a protected home, a Christian home that I grew up in, and just was out enjoying my life and just being free as a child that didn't have the concerns of the city. You know, all of these things that kids face today, depression or all of the rest, that just wasn't even in our vocabulary.
No, so different, isn't it? And do you remember as a young girl having dreams, or what were you inspiring to do in your life around the age of 12 or 13?
Yeah, so I guess I was fairly carefree at that age, but it was probably more as I hit the 14, 15-year-old mark that I started to see that there was a bigger world around me, and wanting to sort of engage in that world more. And I think my good Christian home setting, and then the church setting and the youth group setting, was shaping that in me. But also I attended a Christian school, and that's really where this whole issue, the social justice issues, just started to really grab me, and I started to look further and deeper. And it was in the school that I learnt about this terrible injustice of abortion, and my life was changed when I heard about it.
Yeah, there was a real turning point. I've heard you share the story of a woman coming into the school and talking about what she was doing, and that really captured your heart for the unborn. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I'm so grateful to the teachers that exposed us to people and brought people in to have the discussion and to help us shape who we are and what we were really passionate about. So on this particular day, there were 2 ladies that came. One lady was a medical doctor, and she talked a lot about the medical side of abortion, and more so, I think it wasn't so much negative on the abortion side, but the beauty and the humanity of the unborn. So that was just an amazing thing to come to terms with, just the beauty and the humanity. And then another lady came, and she shared her story of regret and sadness and sorrow, and it just completely impacted me. She was a teen pregnancy situation, and no one said congratulations to her. No one supported her, and she made a decision that has haunted her all of her life. And when she told that story, just something in my heart just knew that this was something that I wanted to be a voice into.
And you took that on straight away as a young girl, still in school. You were in a speaking competition, I remember, and you did your speech on abortion, which got disqualified.
Yeah, so I've always enjoyed the public speaking forum, and so I was involved in different speaking competitions, and I got all the way up to the district level in this competition, and it was the same speech, and I talked about the humanity of the unborn. I talked about the fact that at just 12 weeks in the womb, the unborn baby had fingerprints, and then I, probably in a fairly passionate way, talked about the injustice the injustice of abortion and how this is just not fair for an unborn baby to face the injustice of abortion. And I upset the 3 judges who were all female, and it was a youth contest, a youth speaking contest, and my topic was deemed to be inappropriate to youth. So that was my first my first encounter with just the opposition and probably the pain and the hurt that is existing around this topic.
There is, and you would think people would want to hear about the beauty of life and conception, but they don't, and we live in a culture that is more and more growing against life. And in our state, we have some of the most dangerous abortion laws in the world, which we've been actively protesting and fighting against, but to no avail. So Emily's Voice, though, it came along a little over 10 years ago and really wanted to shine a light and make the unborn beautiful. Tell us a bit more of what you've done through Emily's Voice.
So it's interesting you mentioned the laws. The laws in Queensland, where we are from, only have changed in the last few months. Years. It's only been a more recent thing. The thing with the laws, so Emily's Voice started over 10 years ago, yet abortion was occurring at quite an alarming rate already. So the thing about the laws are they are only going to ever reflect the general population and the culture. So the laws in effect were quite good in Queensland and they had some good protections around the unborn, but if it was a cultural norm and if doctors were willing to take a woman and define it inside that law, the abortions were still occurring. So we were seeing 14,000 abortions in Queensland, even with laws that basically prevented it. So I think that was what shaped Emily's Voice in the very beginning, where we realised that even though the laws are really important, and I'm a huge advocate for having protections in our laws, they're not really effective if our culture is already broken. So the desire was to change culture, and to change culture, you need to change hearts and minds. So that's how Emily's Voice felt the call to speak into the hearts and minds and to change culture. We needed our culture to value the unborn and to love the unborn, but to do that, we had to love them both the mother and the baby, because if we didn't love them both, we were basically missing the ability to speak into a crisis situation.
So a big part of your campaign has been about producing just beautiful television ads, telling stories, which is so important. You've done billboards and just a whole range of things to change, as you said, the heart and help the culture fall in love with the unborn. What are some of the lies? You mentioned that you're passionate about disrupting the lies around abortion. What are some of the lies that feed people, that cause them to have abortions?
Yeah, so one of the things I encountered, and it's been a journey as I first encountered the issue, and being a rather protected person, so I didn't have the pain that I'd experienced personally. I guess the justice part sort of pulsated through me a lot, but walking in the shoes or trying to understand those that have walked through this issue became so important. And when I came back and started to really analyse how this issue disrupted my life and changed just even the way I spoke, I realised that the thing that really changed me was hearing the story of regret, the story where a woman had no support, where the woman was not supported, not valued, and her pregnancy was not valued. So for me, I've had to learn the journey and the language to not isolate those that are in pain and hurting. And even those that would subscribe to a pro-life view are very, very much admitting that the issue of abortion is painful, it's difficult, it's one of the hardest things a woman can face. So while we want to change culture and we want the unborn child to be valued, if we don't value the mother carrying that child and understand her journey and try and walk with her and talk with her and be relevant to her, we're not going to change culture. So it's been quite a journey for us.
Yeah, it sure has. And some of your campaigns around the lies, you focused your campaigns around the lies that, maybe as a career woman, a baby will ruin your career, or as a father, you just won't be able to handle all the children, or if your baby's diagnosed with Down syndrome. So you've just really confronted these lies in a beautiful way, in very much personal, real life storytelling, which I think has been so effective. And we'll put the link up with this clip to Emily's Voice so people can have a look at that as well. And we know as a result of these ads and your campaign, babies have been born, lives have been saved, which is important in just over the 10 years you've been working. You mentioned your initial speech that you did that got disqualified, so there's definitely a battle for life. What's been some of the other opposition that you've faced along the way?
Yeah, there have been definite battles. When you're in this space, the difficulty is that there's a lot of hurt and there's a lot of pain. So part of our journey at Emily's Voice is, how do we speak into that pain and give voice to that pain and address the pain without inflicting more wounds? And the thing that is a real tragedy around this area of pro-life versus pro-choice, and even the picketing and the billboards and the things that have gone before us, I'm not saying that they're not important, and the political lobbying and all of that. I really am not saying it's not important, but the problem is that it's created sides. So there's sort of this world of pro-choice or pro-life, and never the two shall meet. And we stand and we might have opposing views, and it's like people are faced with this real battle and this tension, and you've got to subscribe to both. But we at Emily's Voice are starting to really look into the issues of self-preservation, coercion and crisis that a woman faces when she's facing an unexpected pregnancy. Quite often there is a link to domestic violence or a link to some sort of issue in her life, homelessness or something else, that has led them to this decision. And suddenly taking sides or trying to subscribe to a side doesn't meet their crisis, it doesn't meet their issues, and so self-preservation kicks in, and they're almost forced into a decision that they wouldn't have ever made if they felt more supported. And the tragedy is that 70% of women who are faced with an unplanned pregnancy are saying that if they had more support, they would have made a different decision when it came to aborting their unborn child. So I see that as a tragedy, but I see it as an opportunity. How can we speak into this? How can we be that voice? How can we be that support and get these women supported and their cause and their circumstances championed so that they can overcome?
Yeah, no, definitely. And as a result, in our own city, we did launch a pregnancy support centre about over 5 years ago, because we knew if Emily's Voice was going to work, we wanted to make sure that we were supporting the women in our city, and which is vital. Well, I think time has gone, Katrina, so thank you so much for chatting today. Just really appreciate your time and all that you're doing. And I know it's not just in our city, Emily's Voice goes across our nation and is having an impact, so thank you so much.
Thanks, Tish.
So we want to encourage you to get a hold of Disruptive City Women book. You can read more of Katrina's story and the work of Emily's Voice and many other women who have seen darkness, areas in their city, and disrupted it with the light of Jesus Christ. So thank you.